Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. I was watching the movie The Joker the other day again, and I was watching the final scene and it occurred to me, you know, there is so much discontent and disenchantment with the system right now on all fronts, be it somebody who is protesting the lockdowns or somebody who is protesting the police or somebody who is protesting the people who are protesting the police. Or maybe you're a disgruntled business owner who has been forced to shut down their business and, you know, is now deeply in debt because they haven't made any money all year. But at the same time, you see the stock market going up and you see the corporations getting incredibly wealthy. You know, there's a lot of angry people right now, or latent anger under the surface. And all it's going to take is some mildly provocative character to come along and start saying the right things and actively start goading people into taking some form of directed action, some sort of insurgent type action. By the way, I'm not encouraging this or condoning this. I'm just saying that the conditions there are ripe. Like, I mean, it's as if we're in a dead standing timber forest and everything is bone dry and we're in a drought, and you know, all it's going to take is one lit match to get dropped and this whole place is going to go up in flames. Like, could you imagine the hell that would be unleashed right now if some Joker type martyr person came on the scene right now? Could you imagine, you know, what would potentially happen? Now, I talked earlier in the pandemic about why the authorities take such aggressive action with protesters. It's not because they are just trying to be assholes. It's because they know how weak they are in the face of the masses, in the face of being outnumbered 1,000 to 1. There's only, you know, maybe one riot cop for every 1 to 2,000, hell, in some places 5,000 people. They know this. So the control mechanism with an unruly crowd is fear. That's all you have, really. I mean, that's all you can do, because you can't just start blasting your own population, because that would really piss people off, okay? So the only solution then is to pick out the instigators and get proactive with them and make sure that you stomp these fires out before they start to spread. And I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, because there's vacuums there, whether it's with the 3%ers or whether it's, you know, with the BLM and the protesters. And I'm sure, you know, there's definitely obviously some coordination of those protests, but it's still largely decentralized. You know, whether you're talking about Antifa or, you know, even the people who are coordinating the lockdown protests, which is probably, I'm guessing a lot of it is just coordinated by the internet, and who knows if that's actually being coordinated by a legitimate source or if that's Russian meddling or Chinese meddling in our affairs, because we're certainly meddling in their affairs. Everybody's meddling in everybody's affairs, be it in Belarus, Hong Kong, all over the United States. I mean, we are really, this could potentially all have been the first play, the first chess move in World War III. And you see this in Belarus right now, where security forces there are, you know, aggressively cracking down on people. But you can only push people so much before they start to push back. And people are starting to unmask a lot of the jackboot thugs in Belarus. They're starting to, you know, take action, because I think everybody there anticipates that at some point the government's going to be overthrown. And so what they're doing is, when the police are arresting people, there's people actually pulling the masks off so they can get pictures, because the police there are wearing masks. So they're worried about, you know, if there is some sort of insurrection there, that they will be held accountable for their actions, for defending what a lot of people there see as an illegitimate government. You know, we're living in the, what is it now, 4th, 5th generation warfare. Okay, so part of that is destabilizing a society. So we know that there's likely some hand being played by the US in Belarus. There's likely the Russians who are dividing people in the United States. I'm sure China is in there the same way, just like the USA is probably provoking Hong Kong in some ways. So everybody's in everybody's affairs right now. And the world is on the brink of a global conflict. That's quite evident. You know, there's a lot of people who are still entranced by the system and still have faith in the system. It strikes me as odd that it hasn't happened yet. Now, part of the reason why it hasn't happened yet, going back to what I was saying before about why the authorities have to crack down, I think nobody's sticking their neck out right now because we do live in the surveillance age. And it would be very, very hard for a movement of any sort not to be quelched by some sort of counterintelligence before it even gets off the ground. So what I foresee happening is some anonymous 2.0, some V for Vendetta, or even a Joker figure, but in an encrypted form online, where you have somebody starting to call shots from the shadows. It might not even be a person. For all we know, it could be some artificial intelligence or something like that. Or even, we've been so conditioned to these superhero movies. I wouldn't be surprised if, somebody emerged kind of like almost like a comic book figure in a way, who just was controlling things from some encrypted internet connection or something like that. This might sound far-fetched, but I think that we're going to see something like that around or after the election. And it might even be something which is created by the government, in order to justify or legitimate a crackdown. We all know what happened with the Reichstag, right? I'm not going to put the tinfoil hat on for this one, but, when you have so much malaise and disenchantment and disenfranchisement amongst the people, eventually, people are going to be pushed too far. You got a lot of people who are out of work, who just a few months ago had work, they had employment, they had livelihoods. Now what do they have? Okay, and now they're being told that, you still can't go back to work. People are going to be very upset. And the government's going to have to do a great deal to keep the people pacified. Because if something is not done to stabilize the system, I foresee trouble brewing in the future. What sort of demigods do you think are going to emerge? Is it going to be some anonymous 2.0 hackers? Because really that's probably what it would have to be, because that's the only way, you could coordinate such a thing, right? So I'm thinking that it's going to be something coordinated from the shadows, possibly, or you're going to have to be somebody who has a lot of clout and a lot of people around you to protect you. We're already starting to see militia groups starting to show their leadership. That the leaders are starting to emerge in some of these militia groups, and even with BLM. But none of them appear to be catching any sort of momentum in the mainstream, at least, or notoriety with the government. So anyways, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section about this. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on what might transpire as a result of all this unrest. And I'm going to post a link in the description below, and I'm going to pin the comment of a Steve Palkin interview that he did between, I guess you could say it was kind of a debate. They were talking about whether or not civil war was going to come to the United States and how Canada would respond to that. And Steve Palkin, he's a guy who works for the CBC, I believe. Probably one of the closest things that the CBC has to a real journalist going for it right now. Probably one of the more objective, professional interviewers that you're going to find out there. And they make a lot of interesting points. One guy's making the case that, civil war is likely, or major destabilizing civil unrest is likely. And the other lady is saying, no, the military is going to likely squelch any sort of insurrection before it really gets off the ground. But anyways, go watch that interview and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, your one-stop shop for premium, high-quality, brand-name products that have been tried and tested by myself and other YouTube gear reviewers. My subscribers save 10% off by using the coupon code SURVIVALPREPPER. All one word in all caps.